So, as a community chat, we want to keep this as informal as possible. This is not a board meeting and not a, so it's not a CCMB meeting. Welcome everybody. It's good to see everybody here. So welcome. And we want to keep it informal. We won't be making any decisions. In fact, Sarah and I, as board members, will not be discussing between us any kind of issues that you guys bring up. We can't. For Open Records Act, we shouldn't be discussing things that you bring up. So we won't. But we'll discuss them individually as everybody brings them up. And you're welcome to just ask us questions. I hope it's not all negative. On the same token, understand the question. So if you would, if you'd all join me in the pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance to the flag one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So just to get started, of course, you're aware of who we are. Neil Elliott, Sarah Hunter, we are board members. And let's go.
I would just make a quick positive note. There's been a lot of progress done here. This is a better place than it was 4 years ago.
Well,
And everybody on the board's done a good job. I'm sorry to see some of the current board members go.
Who's going?
we have an election coming up. There's going to be for 3 seats. And 2 of our current board members are term limits, Jerry Krause and Harry Hofstadter.
Because they're term, they can't go any further.
They've served 2 terms, and that's that actually, by the way, is by state statute.
And do you know who's running?
I'm rerunning, and I think
I have John
Ryder
so far is the chief that I have.
So,
And I have also another one. Mr. Warren.
hopefully you'll get to know between now and the election. You'll be able to ask us questions. What else? Who's next? Go ahead.
I'm just curious if Moscow Place is ever gonna get a road surface, or do residents have to pay for that?
No, we're working on that.
It's been there, done that.
No, it hasn't been done.
Not mine either.
Oh,
I've lived here 21 years. I've been waiting for a road.
Which road?
Moscow Place, the cul-de-sac.
You're up on Cornbury, I'm sorry.
Not bad when it's dry, is it? When it's wet, it's.
Not fully up, but I had to pay to have it plowed. It's a city road. Yeah.
Are you in Mossville?
No, I'm on Chattanooga.
And I'm on
And I'm not
Colorado,
happy
it would be nice.
Don't
I moved here 20 years ago. Colorado Boulevard, they told me it's the next road to be paved in Colorado City, which granted, I don't think any roads have been paved, but Colorado's a disaster, I hate it.
Oh,
And she's off of that,
Of course, that's a Preble County road.
yeah,
That's the county road, yeah.
We have no more.
saying that, I know,
See,
I
my
called for
problem is
gravel.
with the county, they'll go so far, and then when it takes that curve, they stop at my neighbor's house.
Oh.
And the city has told me several times, they're gonna continue and do the rest of it. Yeah, you remember, don't you?
I do, and
So when they cross Shibano, they did.
When they go to Shibano goes like this, and then it curves, and then there's my driveway. And then my neighbors are here at the curve, they stop there, and that's all they do, they don't come down to my house. I have to pay to have it plowed. Of course, my husband can plow it, but when he's not here, this last storm, I had to pay.
I'll make sure you have a good spot.
Thank you.
Colorado.
Did you build me a road?
Yeah.
It's really not a road.
Well, that's on the.
The gravel that's on there, we did.
It is down.
They told me the same thing I asked Gary, they said it's next, but they have no timeline.
And
Here.
20 years of time.
What's that, Colorado? Yeah, I don't see that.
Me neither.
Well, they need so many cars to go across, to go on it.
Yeah, every once in a while you'll see those.
They put the rubber deals out.
Yeah.
And it's like, what was it?
Maybe we should drive over and over and over.
Big deal.
They said
My husband does, like a race truck.
Why not?
200 cars per day. Has to use that.
I know that
And I,
it's.
it's gonna go down the road, I would go around.
That'd be good.
I know, the next year.
Back and forth.
Who else? Have something to say? Go ahead, man.
I have a problem down on Red Cloud. As Jim knows what my problem is. And I want something in writing or something to let me know that they are going ahead and fix that place in my yard. And what it is that my water meter is just below ground. And when it gets down to zero, it freezes, that meter. So anyway, the other morning when we got down to zero at 5:30 in the morning, your people thought they called. And they didn't show, so I called them again. And so, anyway, they got it thought out, and so I asked them, I called them, I said, what are you gonna do? Well, we're gonna dump some dirt on it. I said, no, because I said, I put too much money, too much love, and too much care in this yard for somebody just to dump 2 loads of dirt on it. I want a landscape, and I want it done properly.
What's your address?
It's 5085 Red Cloud Road. And the dirt that they put on it was dirt that was pulled out of where they put the pipeline in and on Red Cloud. That is the dirt they put on there, which that stuff will never grow grass. So I request to have rock on it. And I would like to have somebody, some way, by the summer, when it comes time that we can do that they will pay for it. The city will pay for that rock that I have to do to make it look like.
Okay.
So,
How big of an area are we talking here?
what?
How big of an area?
Well, where they put dirt on it, it was probably, I don't know, I took a picture of it tonight, got in the mud to do it. But it's a pretty good sized area. Well, they feed dirt up around my meter. Because they couldn't bury it because I'm setting on a rock. And I asked him about it, and he said they'd have to get a hammer to, to lower it.
So how was it before the construction?
What that?
How was it before they did it?
They had to come 2 other times and thaw it out.
Before the
Crap.
construction or?
It was grass around it.
Yeah, it was grass.
The
before
meter
that.
stuck out of the ground.
Meter's always stuck out of the ground about that height.
Yeah. I don't think it's buried, not even a foot, is it?
Mm,
And they said it's all, we're sitting on a rock, so they can't bury it any deeper. And I'm okay with the dirt on it, but I want it landscaped so it looks nice. Like I said, I put too much money in, too much love in that yard to make it look. There's just a pile of dirt to be done here. So,
But the freeze issue, you had a problem with that previous to the
yes,
construction.
in fact, what's it, 2 or 3
2 times this year.
When the temperature gets down to 0 or below, it's gonna freeze.
After we put the dirt on it, has it been?
No, we haven't had below 0 temperature.
Well, no, I'm just asking you to do. Yeah, but now after we have the snowstorm.
I think that was over a problem. But I'm proud because I want it to look nice.
That, no, and I told you.
And that's why I'm searching out. I want something that in writing or something that I won't have to pay for that rock and that landscaping on that area.
Okay, point taken. Please understand, as far as decisions or issues, we want to listen.
Yeah.
We have to get back to you, though, we can't.
Yeah, I understand that, but I just wanted everybody to know where I stand. So, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Can you answer questions for us?
What we can try, we can't.
What's going on Valley Drive? What in the world is going on?
The construction? on Valley Drive?
Yeah, are they replacing pipe?
Yes.
And are they also adding new ones?
Replacing the old pipe, it was a line that we need to use to be able to work on the tank. So it's gonna reroute some water and they're replacing that pipe. So it's adding new pipe, no, not on Valley.
Well, the only reason why I asked that is because I've been out there before and we've actually looked at those fire hydrants. Some of those aren't,
Wonder, yeah, you wonder if they're gonna work, huh?
they're not connected to anything, we know that. They're fake.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Well, the
Did anybody
situation,
else know that?
the situation,
Whoops.
the situation is they had a break right up on Jody Lane.
Mhm,
Okay, from Jody Lane to, I think it's Showalter,
mhm.
there was multiple breaks. They haven't used that line probably for 10, 15 years.
Yeah. They look
And
old.
that's how we transferred water down from tank 3 down to 2, to cover for 2, if tank 2 went down. Well, so with us having to redo tank 1, 2, and 3, we needed to have that line done and Red Cloud done. So we could transfer water back and forth through the system and take these tanks out one at a time to get them done and still keep everybody in water. So that is the reason why we replaced the line on Kelly. And in the meantime, the reason they were having us on that line was there was no PRV. And if you come down Kelly, it's like a straight up and down road.
Yeah.
So water, when it hit down there around Showalter and stuff, and you start backing up that pressure, that's why they were blowing the line. So they ended up putting in a PRV valve. And then plus the new line, so that it will, and now those new hydrants that are on there, because as you put in line, you have to meet code.
Well, we've been just watching it, you know, we hike out there and
Yeah.
we've just been checking it.
Well, the project, the tank project, we rely on the tanks and repurposing tanks is kind of what prompted.
Okay, and they're getting ready to do that, right?
Yes, so that's,
And that was done with ARPA money, with Pueblo County, to replace the lines and refurbish the tanks. And that was about $3.8 million in grant money.
My husband and I live in Mountain Shadows, so we bought our property from Colorado City, although I think it's out of your boundaries now, but it's still our community. And we are seeing more and more of these campers move in, be abandoned, the crap that blows, and I don't know if the architectural committee is part of that, like who is there regulations and is there covenants and to enforce?
The best thing to do with that is the health department needs to, because it's a health issue. You have to take pictures and you have to send them emails over and over. They feel like they have so much to deal with in the city of Pueblo. It's really hard to get them to do anything, but because they're not supposed to do it at all in Pueblo County.
Right?
But it's the health department that has to do it, and you have to make it a health issue. You need to tell them they're not emptying, they're emptying their waste. They're not
Where-
moving these campers, which is an actual issue. So you have to push it being a health issue, why you want it moved.
But
They're not gonna move it because it's ugly.
But if it's on the metros, within the metro district, are you guys involved? Is it not?
Not if they own the property.
Even if they're in the district?
They
Why
have to
would
involve
you-
their-
Who enforces covenants?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there covenants in the
We
regulation?
we still have to go through Pueblo County to do it.
Do you have an architectural committee?
yes, wait, so what happens in the boundaries of Culver City, then the architectural committee can get involved as well. But
These
really,
are-
as far as
These
some
are
of
in
this,
your district,
Yeah,
but that we
hopefully.
set outside.
so there's some of the covenants that would prevent that, and, or we can try to find a way to prevent that in the covenants. But in the codes, it does not say that you can, specifically does not say that you cannot camp on your property.
Right.
It does say that you can't have accessory buildings on your property unless there's a house.
Okay.
And there's other varied things in the
Is there
covenants.
limits to how long they can stay in a camper before they build or anything like that?
That actually becomes Pueblo County. For Pueblo County's regulations, you're not supposed to live in a camper even while you're building. You know, so they've tightened up a lot too. The problem Pueblo County has, of course, is that there's too much Pueblo County. And it's large, and they have a,
Because Donna's filed complaints with the county and the health department, but
Keep bugging them.
well, it's unbelievable. had to file a written complaint. You said it won't do any good. I went to planning and development because I checked with everybody I could think of, health department, whoever, nobody wants to take it on. And so I filed a complaint with planning and development back in July. And I contacted them at least twice or 3 times since and got no response.
Have they called back? Have they
No,
called you back?
they said they would check it and send somebody out and whatever. Yeah, and then there's a homeless camp or whatever down in the
Yeah,
bottom
a big one.
between 181 and Kenny Pounds Road. So I'm going home one day and there's a huge plume of smoke coming up out of there. And I almost called 911, but eventually it went down, so I went home. But about 2 days later, I took pictures and I came to the fire department and I said, there's smoke coming out down there in that oak brush. That's very dangerous. And I live a little over a mile away. I've had a fire burn right up to my mailbox once before. So I took the pictures and the fire department didn't want to look at them. So I guess out of sight, out of mind, but it's a bad place over there.
There's a whole lot we can do.
I called over and over and sent emails about that one that sits down.
Yeah, your
Yeah.
husband was out there taking pictures of it or something.
Yeah, and, they,
You see, nobody's living there,
yeah,
so it's not a health hazard.
yeah. But it's still,
Exactly.
it's still not legal. It's, for
No.
Pueblo County, it's not, you're not allowed to do that.
Shabana?
Well, it's on the cul-de-sac,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's,
Shivano, yeah, Shivano goes around, yeah.
yeah, it's right in the middle there.
I know.
So that one, specifically that one, is on and of course, amongst this, believe it or not, we have a lot, within the architectural control committee, we have a lot of open complaints. And they are being addressed. Unfortunately, takes a lot of time to do some of this stuff. The one on Chivana that you're talking about, that fifth wheel that's sitting there. That is, they've been notified 3 times. They've gone through the process of notifying them. The next step on them is to go to court. You know, that's our next step.
Scott wants to haul it out in the middle of the night.
And of course, we can't do that. We can't touch.
What about the abandoned ones, like there's a camper and a car and windows are all broke out, a camper's down, a car's there, and now there's a truck down in the bottom with another place, and then they just leave the trash.
But it's almost like a cancer, you know,
Yes. Oh, gross, yeah.
it's being allowed, so just multiply.
You guys were able to get one, the old big.
They're
baseball
abandoned.
field? How long
Oh,
did that
yeah.
take? It took
Oh,
me
yeah,
back.
you
to-
don't want to-
They were there, and then the lead.
They ever have the community cleanup thing, where they talked about, I was given a meeting, they were talking about all getting together and cleaning up areas like that.
We did that last
That is going where?
We did that last year in the area that was dumped, with a Brad and somebody else.
Yeah.
Spearheaded that.
It was Dennis. We did have branches and tires and all that. No, we just couldn't reach each other.
Or we did that, we cleaned all that up.
But
Thank you.
we had the health department come in, and for one weekend, they brought in a trailer for tires, and they brought in
Yeah.
5 or 6 dumpsters. And we set them up at the marina, and they did that. So hopefully we can have it done again.
Yeah, we missed out on that. I love it. if we could do that again.
I'd love to do it at least twice a year, but
Yeah. I mean, I would be part of helping clean up areas if I knew I could get rid of my tires.
and we no doubt will be doing that again this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're gonna try to.
Well, make sure the word gets out, because I found out about it a little too late.
Well,
I wonder why you two just lied to these people about covenants. You know, you have enforcement ability own campers in probably 90% of Colorado City. You refuse to do it, but you have the authority. And now you're probably not going to be able to do it because one of your current advisory board members has stepped in conflict of interest and you've got selective enforcement on the book. So if the ones that you're talking about win under these two, you'll never enforce another. But you have the authority. You know as well as I do that the covenants generally, because there's so many of them, but in general, they state that there has to be a home first. And it's enforceable via the courts. You've refused to take a single one of them to court. In 2 years now that you've had the covenants going, or the enforcement, you have not filed a single action.
All right, point taken. The covenant that Bob's referring to is a covenant that requires a residence to be built according to accessory building is present. Does that pertain to campers? To pertain to camping, probably. Would that be a court battle?
Most of them say trailer.
So, but yes, that's right, he is correct as far as, but that's the covenant about accessory building cannot be present without a residence. So the first thing on residential property is a residence. You can't store cars, you can't, do other things without a residence being present.
To me, that just.
That's a covenant.
Fine.
Yeah.
They almost kind of consider an RV
Well, that's,
a
and that would be,
accessory building.
and that would be a deal, that would be a battle. That's a,
Generally, the covenant says trailer.
the different covenant does, yes. There's a different covenant, there is a covenant that, again, we have to consider priorities, all kinds of different things. But there is a covenant that probably pertains to almost all units that actually does not allow you to have a trailer on your property.
Even if you have a house.
No,
We can't store trailers on our property?
Well, per
I got
covenant,
one.
For covenants,
per covenant, now,
I read my covenant, pretties aren't good, but it doesn't say anything.
Not
in there
all
about
of them, not all of them do.
so.
Don't they
Probably
make
what's that one?
it- don't they have to pay for the work?
Big storage.
If they want.
That's a tough one, that's a tough one. So it also, these covenants, of course, okay, off into architectural issues. here. But these covenants, of course, you understand, were written in 69, 70. That makes it, because we also have the same kind of thing, for example, with storage containers. Storage containers weren't around when these covenants were
And
written.
clothesline.
clothing.
Come on.
We've been around since.
Nothing wrong
Hey,
with clothing.
No, but according to the covenants, we can't have one.
Can't be seen over the fence.
That's what I read.
Is that what?
That's what.
Okay, that's not how I read it. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Everybody stops at the comma.
So this is probably pretty good now. This is unit 1, 2, and 3. And for the covenants, that conditions are as follows. So this pertains to all lots. Number 8. No accessory buildings, trailers, barns, or other structures not conforming to these covenants shall be maintained on any lot.
Shall not be maintained.
What does that mean?
Shall not be maintained?
Maintain.
Shall not be maintained on any lot.
Mhm.
No accessory buildings, trailers, barns, or other structures not conforming to these covenants shall be maintained on any lot. Well, how do you define that?
That's what I said. I'm getting very confused.
Barn, for example, you get a
It says
approval to build a barn.
conform, it
then
says
you can maintain
conform,
it.
it says conformed by the covenant. Doesn't say you can't have a barn.
That's defined, that's right,
Yeah, conformed by the covenant.
correct. So at that point,
What
what
the
covenant?
covenant to say?
Then
Can you
what
have a
covenant
barn?
used to identify that?
Right. Doesn't say you can have a warrant if it conforms by it.
Right, so how can we make a trailer, for example, conform to the covenant?
You fill out a permit for a review.
I'm sorry, what?
You fill out an application for review. Same as you do a shed. If a shed comes in or a fence, you fill out the application for review.
As an accessory building.
Accessory buildings, barns and trailers on certain lots. Now, for instance,
Certain lots.
But you can understand, that's tough to define, that's,
Applewood is different.
That's a totally different topic.
Rex?
Rex Graver, for who you don't know, I own several lots in Colorado City. And had one of these ugly trailers close to one of my lots, and I was obviously upset about it. They're dangerous and an eyesore. I actually went to the district attorney's office and talked to him about what I could do legally, and they said, well, it's not a criminal matter. It falls under a civil matter. You as an individual can sue that guy and do whatever you want to do. But if you don't like, I mean, is that hard to do? You bet it's hard to do. Is it expensive? Very expensive.
That's what I was just thinking, does the city really have? the
Several
money?
issues are always won by the person that spends the most money. So the Architectural Control Committee has the same problem. They have limited time, limited sources, limited money. Yeah, no one likes these trailers. There's not a simple solution to them.
Did you get it removed?
I did. But yes,
Approximately 10 years ago, maybe 12, I showed them Colorado is unique in the fact that the covenants can be enforced in small claims court. You only have to spend 100 or 200. If you win, you can recover the dollars.
now. The magistrate may say you can recover the dollars, but you get the money. You don't get it. Nearly impossible. You're really not gonna recover the money.
You gotta have a lawyer just to interpret the document.
The covenants are tough. Those covenants were written 50 years ago, and they didn't foresee the things we
The way
have
I
today.
read it, I'm supposed to have a clay tile ceiling at my house.
Well, some units were written that way,
I know,
and it's just,
unit 5.
Unit 5 is shake shingles.
Is it Shay? Okay, sorry. You're right, you're
Yeah,
right.
well,
I read
I've
something
looked
about.
at these things.
Yeah. And there's that.
So a lot of these trailers don't even belong to the person that owns the lot. A lot of them are transient, you can't even contact them. What would be the process with that? You can't contact somebody to go to court with them.
Well, if the owner doesn't own the land, why can't it just be towed away by a towing company?
A lot of the towing companies don't want to even deal with them. They don't want to tow them because of the asbestos and everything else. Or even they're so tore up that they aren't gonna get their money out of the towing.
They fall apart before they get to where they were going.
Yeah.
So
And
what's
then
a
they have
good
to store them.
solution?
Apparently people don't care about
So that,
it's not simple.
what is it, what to do? Well, what to do is file a complaint. And here, with the office, and fill out a complaint here, and also call the county. And just be squeak the wheel. Now, if you, file a complaint here, then the architectural advisory committees will investigate, and then it goes to the architectural control committee, and we have to at least address the complaints. Now, it might be that we address it in a way that isn't good enough, but at least a complaint has to be addressed. So
it. Step 1.
And
Just need to bring the addresses for the cross streets. So you
best
can find it.
information you can have, and bring it out and just fill out a complaint.
Take a picture of it.
Oh,
Yeah, you go online, and get the parcel number too.
this is not the only place that's having the same problem.
Oh, I know.
It's all everywhere in Colorado. I know Warfield County's out. Butler County, Avondale,
Nobody can afford
well,
pressure.
they're all in that same boat.
I do think that, yes, the question is, do we have an architectural control committee? Yes, we do.
I know for years we didn't, right?
Yeah, and that was the problem. So we do now, and I think that we actually have had some success. Most people are kind of paying attention and are aware that we have an interest in doing a better job. We're trying to keep the valley clean and trying to do it. And I think we're having some success. It doesn't mean that we're good enough. No, we have more to do, a lot more to do. But we're not alone. And as we talk about all the water issues and all the infrastructure issues and all the squatters issues, all that kind of stuff, we're not alone in the country.
Do we have a lot of squatters in Colorado?
It's kind of hard to tell whether the squatters actually, or whether there's somebody that some realtor sold a piece of property from Florida and told them they could camp there. And it's their property now. And then they're not a squatter.
When you see those, report them. I'm blocked for most of them because I've reported them so many times. Okay,
What are you talking about?
there's different companies that sell lots.
Oh, yeah.
They buy them tax sale and that's how they advertise them. This is where you can see
Like
them.
on
Yeah,
Facebook.
So when you see that on Facebook or whatever it's on, report it, or I used to comment on it and say, this is not correct for public county, you can't do this. And so unless a new company pops up and I see it, all the other ones have blocked me, so I can't see their advertising.
And
That's
I know
Sarah.
that mess that we had down there on Londra, they
Yeah.
got out of there right away, except they left their car. And it's
They'll be
still-
back.
It's still there.
That car has been tagged by the county.
I seen that, I seen a couple of times.
But that's as far as gone. We can't,
Still there, so,
we have a complaint against, we've gone through the process there too,
yeah.
but it's on private property.
If they just, be quiet about it, but those people back.
Yeah, they got themselves in trouble.
They did. They
So
were just,
I saw it was alerted by one of his neighbors up on top of the hill. He said, check this out on Airbnb. On Airbnb, there was a guy that was advertising a camping site. $15 a night, you could camp in this camping site, and he actually improved it. He put a little fire pit in there and stocks wood, and he was advertising it for camping on Airbnb. And he actually had some customers. It wasn't close enough to me where I was aware of, but then I became aware of it, and I did contact and told him he couldn't do that. But gosh, that's what happened.
Oh, that, that's what you did.
I don't actually know. Where are we at with the, lake? With the dam and all that?
The. Want me to answer that? Yeah, go ahead.
At this point, we have, application into CWCD for about $150,000. We have this is for the design and, shovel ready, to make it a shovel ready product. If we can get that, we can move forward to USDA for a grant through them, which will be probably about 70% grant and 30%. But it's going through them steps to get that. We do have it as right now at option 2. Option 1 was just to fix the dam, was right about 2.8 million. Option 3 is about 3.4 million, and that is to make the dam ready to add another 10 foot to the lake.
That would consist of completely redoing the road and.
Yes, and that is about $10.4 million. And
Do you
that,
actually raise the road?
yes,
Yeah, so won't you have to raise the lake the whole way around? We have to raise the
there
road.
will be some areas that will have to put in coffer dams and stuff. And replace all the trail. That's why the trail hasn't been anything done. Been done to it is because we're at that point of, okay, if we put in the trail, and we end up raising the lake, why do we tear it out? And that the trail alone was, about 2. I'm sorry, take that back, it was 1.8, and that was 3 years ago.
Are you
So
talking about the trail on the east side of the road?
the trail all the way around the lake.
Oh, around the lake, because I know there's a trail on the east that goes back in the back by the old golf course.
No, this is on the dam itself. Dam and lake. So it was about $1.8 million when I first got here, because I put in for GoPro grants at that time. And, so then this came up that they made our dam as a high hazard dam, which we're moving forward on it. Hopefully we can pass the CWCB. I just talked to their finance guy that is writing a report to do a loan for us for the $3.4 million. But if we can tag in USDA to pay the 70%, then that cuts us down to a 30% loan. And we're working with other grants as to DOLA, which is Department of Local Affairs. And also we are on the hazardous mitigation plan, which is a 5-year plan with Pueblo County, being that it is a hazardous dam and it's under a compliance order. So by having the compliance order, it's a good thing because it gives us an opportunity to get federal money and state money a lot sooner than any other district or business or whatever that they want money for their dam.
So raising the dam 10 feet higher is cheaper than adding the second
Yes, it would.
authority area,
Yes, it would.
okay, and then if you raise that dam 10 feet higher, Millwood's gonna have to get flood insurance?
No.
That's not gonna ever.
You'll still have the flood zones, which are already there. They will be in that flood zone. That flood zone doesn't change. Once it's there, it's there.
Is there a map that shows all
Yes.
that? Where can I find that?
I'll have to get you the website.
I didn't know, I don't want to be flooded.
Why not?
You're raising that dam.
It would raise it that high. What would, you live on
I live right by the lake.
On the west side. We'll go down on that.
Hopefully that's what you say,
Yeah,
but we don't take everyone's word for it.
Because there'll have to be some infrastructure done and stuff if we did raise the dam. We have a sewer line and manholes and stuff on that southern border that we'll probably have to move them in. So that's why it's at that point of a $10 million project instead of just the, to get it prepped for that.
So then what happens, are you guys gonna replace those bathrooms then, which aren't in service, they haven't been for like forever,
Mhm.
but will there ever be like a permanent bathroom structure put back at the lake?
Well, hopefully that's what we can do, is find some local money and stuff to improve that as we move along.
Right, they then the big eagle's gonna disappear,
They'll be moved. Well, they'll have to move.
I was gonna say, there's a lot that's gonna
There's-
change. if you
that's
raise
what
that
I'm
up
saying.
10 feet.
The design part of this is the big and important part.
And
And we're in that
cheaper than
phase right
doing the
now.
other storage area.
we're in the design phase, right?
Get another.
We're getting the money to start. That answers the question.
Yeah, really, John, what makes it a dangerous dam? I mean, for catastrophic failure, is that the fear?
It's a water plant
No,
Of the dam,
and the water plant and
catastrophic failure?
well, if it were to be a failure, there are personnel at the water plant and there are personnel at the dock maintenance shop. And they would be in line of a flood. So that flood line would come down through where the water plant is, where the golf course is. That creates there's danger of loss of life.
On the water plant below the ground,
Yes.
And is it weakened? Is that the problem?
No, it's not. Well, we have been under mandate to be monitored and watching that it's going. And we have been, we get weekly reports. And we get a weekly report in a month of everything that's happened down, and it's not changing, there's nothing.
Like, yeah, and I'm glad to hear that because with all the talk, I've always been under the impression that there's something weak that's getting ready to break down.
So that's why I was asking, it seemed like a
Yeah.
dumb question, what's the?
Well, no, I'm glad you asked.
Why is it a hazardous dam or whatever you
Just
call it?
because of the potential.
Oh, in
flood.
2000, I don't know, Bob, you might know, 2010, 2011, there was a slough in the road. There was a drop in the road that went on the dam, so it showed that it was sloughing. So that's when this all started, was with that aspect of it. Am I right? That's my knowledge.
Well, think about that, that dam's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
And when they built that dam, they built it with mules and tumblebugs.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't have very good way of packing things. So the dam, when they built it, would not have had that swale in it. It wouldn't have been there. So that dam has sunk about 3 feet in the last 100 years. And the position, of course, that the state takes on because of high hazard, they take that, look, if we didn't do anything, another 100 years, it'd sink another 3 feet. So it needs to be repaired. Bob, did you have something?
In 2012, it was deemed hazardous because it is moving. The holes drilled in it to measure movement. It's, in a technical term, it's cracked. And it's sliding. But the biggest problem with it is there's no emergency dump. So like the lady's talking about for your flood, the dam would rupture before they could dump the proper amount of water from it. So they have to install a dam with the proper release to dump excessive water. You've seen it out there sometimes, they bring it down there up to the pavement. But they can't do that anymore because the state removed the rights to fill it as full as it was. But the biggest problem is, well, the two main problems is the dam has been moving and there's no emergency release of the pressure. So even if the dam cracked, they can't draw it down fast enough to save the crack from becoming a rupture.
That's one
One
of
of
the
the situations.
one of the weaknesses.
I'd like to talk about water, but not the dam.
So hang on.
So I was curious on that new construction up on the hill up there. Was there anything ever decided on that? Is Colorado City gonna give them water?
Nothing has been decided.
Nothing
We
else
don't
to
have-
follow.
We actually don't have any more information we did now. than we
6 months ago.
Yeah, not first. No,
Okay.
Well, are they living without water?
No, then,
There's no houses up there anymore.
Oh. Who's doing that? I knew you were gonna.
we have absolutely nothing. So that's, as far as we're concerned, that's completely, right now, inactive. There's nothing we can done there at all because we don't know anything, any more than what you know now.
But there's a lot of rumors going around about that. So-
Yeah, there are. And when you say up on the hill, where are you talking about?
Where they made that new road that goes up, where they want to build that new residential area.
Behind the llama.
Going up by right.
Right.
Behind the
Oh,
llama.
Because they still really haven't, to me, done anything to keep the road eroding, to keep that thing from just rotting away. I haven't seen them add anything into it.
Okay.
They just cut the mountain and moved half of it, it looks like. If you know it's looking good, road, you'll see.
Okay.
Yeah, where are we at with the DHEA standards regarding, right, we don't have any. So we-
you change the price.
we're fine with that.
Yeah, we're back in compliance. We're, it's dropping now, but you never know. It can change from day to day. Whether, we did with the HA files, it's, your biological. It could be anything from the city to cruise ship to whatever. And when you do increase your chlorine to disinfect, it causes your HA5s to come up. When you don't have enough chlorine, the TTHMs come up. So it's a balancing act of trying to keep them together. We are working on we just sent in a project for another, it's going to be either $4 to $6 million through the revolving fund, which will be for a DAP system, which is a dissolved air filtration. So you add your coagulant and it takes all your heavies, your biological, puts to the top and then sweeps it off. We also are adding a carbon filter cleaning after the DAP system so that it will take out all our PFAS, which is the big thing right now is anything that's coming down the river. It could be fire foam that it has the carcinogenics and stuff in it, or it could be from drywall, asbestos, things like that, that has got leached into the water, that we can pull them out. So with the project with the dam, we're trying to pair it up with the DAP system because they're going to kind of be in the same footprint, and it's going to rely on intakes, outlets, things like that to get them all working together to make sure that both projects. So you're looking, by the time, hopefully within 5 years, we'll have $16 million worth of projects out there and hopefully paid for by the federal government. And with the DAP system, it can be almost 100% paid since we are throwing the PFAS removal in that too.
Well, I can answer some of the HAA5. HAA5 is a byproduct of the chlorination system. When you chlorinate organic matter, that's when you get the HAA5. Now, what they can't tell you, and I can tell you, is by law, they can't tell you that a activated carbon filter in your house will remove HAA5. So it's not recommended that everybody knows that. That's something to do with EPA crap. But carbon does deactivate HAA5 and remove it from the system. The reason they can't tell you that is they want it to be in compliance when it leaves the plant. And that's where it's measured is as it's leaving the plant. And they're not allowed to put the chlorinated water through the carbon filter because it changes the amount of disinfection and residual in the main lines. And the reason for that is if you put it through the carbon at the plant, the residual may be low enough that by the time it got to somebody way down the line, it would no longer meet the chlorination specs and not be, quote, safe. But as it enters your house, if you added a, quote, a whole house carbon filter, I can't tell you it will remove it, but all studies have shown it's probably gone at that point.
And that's why we're looking at it as pre-treatment with the DAP and the carbon filters. Then we'll go into the plant making disinfect, which
But the problem, Jim, is HAA5 is created after all of that. Putting the carbon filter where you're talking about won't help HAA5. HAA5 is created after chlorination. So when you're sending it down the line, any organic that is past the filters are a residual in the line. You've seen these lines, when they cut them, they got mud in it. It's basically a biofilm that's built up in them for the last 50, 60 years. That is what part of it. The rest of it is we're fixing to enter spring runoff. So all of your organics coming down the river into the lake and flowing through, the filtration that is currently in place isn't good enough. That's why you need a DAP to remove the organics before it goes into the main plant to be disinfected and sent through the final filter.
More question? Answer?
Anybody?
I do, well, one question, then clarification on the type of this call. The Pearson still on the water rate.
Mhm.
Is it still like, if the first 5,000 is this rate, the next 5,000?
Yes.
It is here, so
Yes.
not, like in the summer when you use more water.
You're
It's
not
not all at that high
highest
rate
rate.
for the whole, okay. And then the other question I had, and I was at the meeting when they had the community forum on the rate increases, and I'm pondering this. Why was it not, my question is, why was it not a 20% across the board? Why was the golf course at the lower rate? And everybody else was 20? That's one of my concerns. And
Why are you going to 20 when it's
the forum was for 15%, but then the vote was 20. So maybe I don't understand the legality of meetings and how that can change, but that was a concern that I had with the forum that we had, talk about, speak out about the rate increases was for 15%, but the meeting voted and changed it to 20%. Except for the golf course.
So of course, the golf course is an enterprise. With water, and the water is an enterprise, both of them are enterprise. And they're supposed to operate as a business. The golf course probably, has some change, we don't know. Will it be possible to be able to maintain itself at that rate? Well, if not, we'll have to raise it again. Same thing with water. Honestly, now, the 15 versus 20%, we're not done.
I know, I was hearing that, yeah.
So, and personally, I would have gone for 50%. We need more money. Now,
Yeah, but if you raise it so much, we're not gonna use water and you don't get any.
the other one on the previous-
Daughter, your family will out.
that won't cost us as much to provide that. But there is no way that the water enterprise right now can, when I look out in 10 years, I feel like that we as a board need to be looking at the future, not just tomorrow. And when we look out in 10 years, we need to make some repairs, we need to make some infrastructure fixes, and there's a lot of work needs to be done. We don't have the money. Here we are, Jim's spending all the time, and we've actually contracted with the engineering firm to go after money to try to find money for us to do some of this stuff. This $3.4 million he's talking about, we don't have it. We have to try to find it. We have to ask for money. So we're going after grants, and we're gonna have loans, and we're gonna have other stuff to get this money. We look out in 10 years from now, and we've got a lot of work to do. We're gonna need to, and honestly, folks, this isn't just us. You look at Pueblo West, look at all kinds of different municipalities, water rates are going up.
And it
because
wouldn't
water
be so
supply-
bad if the gas bill didn't go up by a third, it's the same,
Yeah, so
not
we're,
1/3.
so as far as the 20% versus the 15,
I didn't even
I
know.
think that was kind of one of the reasons,
Yeah.
we didn't want to be a shock. If we raised the rates to the point that we would be getting at all closer to where we need to be, I'm afraid we've got hung.
You gotta realize, they had a rate study done in 2009. At that time, they said that they needed to have a 20% increase at that time, and then a continual raise every year. There was only one raise.
every year?
No, not 20%, but 20% for that year, and then like a 10 or 15% every year until now. But that didn't happen. You had a $5 on your bill in 2018. 2019, there was a $5 raise on your base rate. for water and sewer. And that was all the raises that was ever done up until this year when they made the 20% raise on water.
So there was a post on Facebook that said there's a free pipe of water going to the golf course, that they're not paying for the water.
They're
So
paying,
that
there was something that was found, yes, that we didn't know that there was water going to our sprinkler system on the front side because it is ran by hydraulics through water. They used to have it on the raw water side. Well, they had to put a treated water line in to run it because what would happen is it would fill up the little tiny microfilters. And then each sprinkler has a 1/4-inch line to it. And if that pressure gets cut off, it just wastes water all over the golf course. You'd have wildcats is what they call them. So that sprinkler comes up and it will run and you have no control over it.
So our drinking water is watering for free lawn.
Well,
I mean, it's a golf
not at
course,
this
it's still a
point.
lawn.
Yeah, it's, and the thing is it was found out in the end of September. And since then, it's been shut off because it's winter time. We don't run it. We don't have a real reading of how much water they use every month. And we will look at seeing what their charge will be for it.
You can't put a meter on it, so you.
Yeah, there is a meter on it now.
So, but as I understand, that's control water. The potable water is control water.
It's not to water the golf course, no. We water the golf course with backwash water from the plant, which we converted that. Where we used to be 85% capacity in our sewer system because we were taking that backwash water and putting it into our sewer. Now we're taking that backwash water, we can't turn around and resell it at this point until we get all the clarifications as to how long it has to set to go into the lake and that kind of stuff. Then we use it to water the golf course.
So Jim, but the water, the potable water is going to the golf course is control water for the
Control.
heads, it's not the water that is coming out of the sprinkler head. It's the control water that controls the sprinkler head.
But that's still water.
That don't make
Yes,
sense.
that's correct. But it's small, it's a minor, it's not nearly as much as, of course, the water that's sprinkling out on grass. But
No.
yes.
To me, a drop of water is still a drop of water.
It is still a drop of water.
Well, I was at that meeting, but I think what kind of disturbed me, and I understand rate increases, it happens, everything, the gas and the groceries, and you understand that that's what's going to happen. But at that meeting, somebody said, and I'm not gonna name the board member, but I remember distinctly them saying, if we could find all the leaks or all the money that we could, all the water that we produce, your rates wouldn't be this high. So,
I remember that.
and I went the process of
And
focusing on water.
And we are.
So why are we paying for that problem?
And a lot of them aren't leaks. A lot of
Well,
what we
obviously
found,
this one wasn't.
a lot of them were within our SCADA system, within our billing system, that we narrowed them down. We continually finding things like this meter that we were using water at the golf course, which I didn't know. I mean, I've been here for 3 years. And when I walked in the job, yeah, you're making changes as you go along to find things and make the right repairs and those things. Yeah, there was a lot of times that they just made a repair and put a Band-Aid on it and it was good. There you go. And who knows, it might have slowed down the leak. It might have fixed the leak, but we're trying to do the right things to make sure that it is repaired right, appropriately, changing valves out so that way we don't, every time we change a valve out, it's $4,000. And that's for just a 6-inch valve. When you start getting into some of our lines are 12-inch lines, a 12-inch valve can cost you $10,000, $15,000 for that valve. So, there's a constant check on all of this as to make sure, hey, just putting Band-Aid on it, yeah, sometimes it's okay to get you through to make sure everybody has water, but, you know, we're still digging it up and replacing what we need to do.
So a lot of that water that's being produced that you can't, you're not billing is from the
But,
infrastructure that's old.
but we've also ran into the same situation that our SCADA system rounds up. So it could be that, and we've seen this in the last 4 months since we've got accurate numbers. It could be 30,000 gallons a day that it's rounding up to do it. Right now, our plant sits at on standby where it's not running, our tanks are full, we're not losing water. So how can you say it's a leak?
Oh, that term came from this board meeting.
Right, yeah.
So,
That's what.
yeah, well,
That's where I heard it.
and it was, yeah,
I
because,
heard that.
because we see the numbers, you know, and I give the board the numbers as numbers of gallons produced. Yeah, it shows Gary's numbers he was putting out was what he was getting right off the SCADA. Which tells you how many gallons per day that plant is producing. But it's rounding it up to that number, whereas now we're starting to narrow the numbers down to SCADA as actual numbers produced, and it's bringing that, his number down, and our billing numbers are going up, so it's closing the gap and finding meters that we weren't charging for. Right now, I know our sewer plant, we probably use, I think the last on it was, they use 30,000 gallons a day to wash basins and do the treatment and clean our grinder and stuff. 30,000 gallons a day over 30 days, that's
That's a lot of
900,000,
water.
that's 900,000 gallons. So did we charge, we're gonna start charging our sewer plant where they never charged our sewer.
Well, what are they doing to try and decrease that amount? I mean, can't they do it more economically?
You really can't keep it going. You've gotta have water
Water.
to clean your brushes and your filters and stuff to separate particles that you can't put into your basins and stuff. But also otherwise it ends up tearing up a pump, which is a pump is, you know, you're looking big dollar amounts, especially when you're looking at a 6-inch pump or a 4-inch pump to pump that water to the digester and into our fan press, which we've made a change in that too.
I was just gonna comment, ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that this infrastructure here, some of it's over 50 years old. It's old, and may not have been put into the best standards at the time, but that's certainly nobody's fault that's currently at the Metro District now or on the board, but they're certainly, they have to deal with the problems. And those problems take money. I mean, I like to build houses occasionally and they raise my tap fees and I understand that. They're gonna raise them again and I understand that too. And they need to. No, and it's a luxury to live out here in Greenhorn Valley, but it costs more. I mean, if you had a ton of houses right next to you and everybody's paying, it'd be cheaper water. But it's just, and these problems are not gonna go away.
I
It's gonna
absolutely
continue to
agree
get
with you.
worse.
I'm not here to bitch about anything.
This
I think everybody's doing a marvelous job.
good job, right?
Well, the logistics of our city is amazing. Number of people living here.
Yeah.
Just the line mile, how spread out everybody is.
Oh, it's-
That has to be maintained and, yeah. I've lived in small towns before, but everything was.
It's like
more
3
compact.
blocks,
Yeah,
3
you
city
didn't- You
blocks.
didn't have the line mile, road mile.
Yeah.
To take care of.
But you figure we have
And I bet they had a boat.
110 miles of.
They do. Everyone.
Or they can fix them, like, you know, up to just west of Ellicott.
And they're about to have mail out.
They're gonna what?
They're gonna have mail out service. You'll be able to.
Oh,
So they got the equipment from Pueblo?
Yeah, they're,
baby steps.
so they're working on that. Little.
I just wanted to make another good comment. So I know a lot of people gripe about the water on the golf course. But isn't it a beautiful sight when you come over the hill coming into Colorado City from the interstate and this beautiful green golf course? and it attracts a lot of people.
Oh,
So I know a
absolutely.
lot of people don't like it. Yes, I like to golf, and I'm not good at it, but it's beautiful. So I'm sorry, but it's something that makes Colorado City.
Well, I don't mind the
It's an
beauty,
attraction.
if my yard has to suffer for it, then yes, I
Yes,
do mind
I
it,
agree.
because I am not a golfer.
I agree.
So I don't see how that benefits me. So
Well,
I have to look at it
I was
from a
told you
non-golfing.
it brings business into the city.
What is it?
I'm not a golfer, and I never will be, but.
Get people that come down here.
And
to
it's-
and stuff. So that's why I stay the weekend, hotels, grocery store. And they- Yeah, they do, and whether we realize it or not, I really believe they do. That and the camping up in Greenmore.
That's been
Camping
approved quite a
places,
bit.
a lot.
Last year,
Which,
the campground, didn't they redo the whole campground? or
well, we've
everything?
done a lot of road work.
San Isabel or one in Florida?
No, Colorado City does.
Yeah, and we're looking at funding to get some of that done, to do the shout out. Up there too.
Like, city almost.
Yes. Metro. Well,
Yeah, I'd like to speak on a different topic on waters, but before I do, I'd like to clarify something on the golf course. The golf course does not pay for water. And I'm telling you, oh, it's used water, this and that. But they charge the contractors and the county for that same water, so it's sellable. And their loss at the water plant was $350,000. And your income at the golf course that does not pay for any of the water doesn't even come close to that. So even if you combine the two, they're still in the hole. They need to pay something for their water. Now, I want to talk about redundancy for the water system. Board's aware because the board approved repairing a well. I think it's named the Dual Well. Needs some pump replaced in it, possibly lining. That is the cheapest fix you've got for redundancy in this town. You saw what happened when you couldn't move water through the plant, we've seen dry year. Now, I personally think we're fixing to enter El Nino, we've been in La Nina. And, this is a third year La Nina, which is rare, but they do occasionally happen. Going forward is almost unheard of. So I think the
Is that
weather
a drought?
pattern's about to change.
So,
So,
does that mean a drought?
no, that means more moisture on the mountain.
Oh, no, more.
That comes down to fill the lake. Now, the reason I want to push, redundancy is the well, is everybody sees on TV, this railroad cars roll over and dump all the crap in the water supply. Our water comes down a stream just like that. Something could happen along that stream and you would have to shut off the head gate to keep it from entering the lake. If you do that, God help us that some idiot doesn't dump something in the creek or any of the ditches. But if it did happen, you have to shut it off. The wells that are currently online cannot keep up with production. The one well that you need to bring online can keep up with production. So you need to bring that one well back online, even though you had a work order to fix it and you took your work order off. That well needs to come online. Thank you.
And
Go ahead.
you guys, correct me if I'm wrong, last meeting, you mentioned that they had sent in a test.
Yeah.
You're,
we haven't got that
sample of
far.
it, sent in a test, because that's kind of the first step.
Yeah,
correct?
we did take a test on it, it was high in radon. At this point, yes, until we can get the gas system involved in it. Yeah, it will eliminate the radon. Yeah, we can put it in our lake, but, it would contaminate our lake in the sense of radon. Yeah, radon is dissipated by air. It gets out into the atmosphere, it will reduce that radon. But this one was really hot, and that's probably why it sat there for so long and nobody did anything with it. So once we get the gas system in there, yes, I agree with you, Bob. You need to have that well cased and ready to go. let's get these projects in line and get them,
You don't need
it's
a
a
dam
step,
to turn on a well.
but to make it potable water,
That's called a sprinkler head. Read the information.
Okay, so I'm, anxious. I don't know that we've got all the questions answered about the water rate issues. You have more?
Well, I'm still clarification. So when you propose, for example, this last couple meetings ago, you proposed 15%, the public forum was on 15%. So it's okay, it's legally allowed to change it to 20 at the meeting.
Well, we have a public hearing before we actually passed it at 20%. So the public hearing was when we discussed it, the far
I
greater.
would verify, I believe it was 15%, and then at the meeting, it was changed to 20%. I thought, maybe I'm wrong,
Well, we didn't check
but
that.
yeah. Well, that's what, that was,
That actually,
and I don't know the legalities of the meeting, and that's why I'm here tonight, because I don't feel like at the meeting I can ask these questions when I come to you. So that was my clarification. If you're having a public hearing on a percentage, shouldn't the vote be on that percentage,
Yes.
or can it be changed at the meeting? That's
that,
my
we need
question.
to check.
I believe it was started out as an increase to one.
Right, but I think it's.
The public hearing, I recommended 15 to the
Right.
board, and then the board said, well, looking at where we're going and what we're doing, I think 20 would be more appropriate.
And I
Thank you
understand
for
that, but I guess my concern was, well, the hearing was at 6%, but then you voted on this percent, and that was, I thought, is that legally allowed? That's my question, because I don't know.
But the public hearing was on the water rate increase.
Not a percent.
Well, let's check that out. On the, we will clear that up. So more water rates issues, water issues. I mean, we haven't answered the whole question, I know that.
And I understand that I do see having come to the news, and I do try to watch, when I can't come, I do try to watch at least online. If I can't watch that night, I watch on YouTube later. Speaking of that, I have to bring that up as well. But I don't, so I know you have huge issues. I see that, and I see the infrastructure being old, and even in my community, every time a house is built, it seems like something breaks down the road. That's because the infrastructure. I understand that, but I appreciate having this opportunity to speak out and give you my opinion, because at a meeting, I don't feel like I can do that unless it's pertaining to what's on the agenda. I don't know enough to say.
So kind of along that line, as far as those chats versus the meeting. One of the things we run into at the meeting too, of course, is time. And we have other things we have to just deal with. So I think that these chats, these kind of things are really valuable to us as well as to you. So we plan on continuing to do that. You can speak out at the meeting. Unfortunately, what happens is because of time, it's tough to do that. It's tough to discuss it enough.
There's always this, I know she.
Yeah.
Now, the one comment that was made a couple times was, if we could find all the water that we're producing, we wouldn't have to raise rates. We still are producing way too much water compared to what we're doing. We're getting closer, but we have quite a ways to go. So the question is, why should you have to pay for that? Why should you have to pay for the water that we're producing that isn't getting to the house, or that we're not billing for? Well, I agree. How are we gonna find that? How are we gonna correct that problem unless we get people to pay for it?
Yeah.
So somehow we have to get the funds, we have to find the funds to fix this infrastructure. If tomorrow we could fix the infrastructure to where we were billing for every gallon that we were producing, yeah, I don't think that you should complain about the rate increase, because we probably wouldn't have as much. But we can't do that. We have to be able to fix that infrastructure. As Rex said, it's 50 years old. And it wasn't put in the.
Well, and I never thought about, I've never given that a thought, what you said. We're so spread out here. There's so much. infrastructure. There's so much of it. I come from a town of 300 people, but it was all contained in 3 blocks.
Imagine that, we have 10 square miles.
Yeah,
We call it a
I
city.
never
We have
even,
over 110 miles of water lines. And we only have 2,800 people.
right.
Our population is 2,800 now?
Well, I think it's 2,300 or something census, but the census is old, and There's been people, we didn't close the gates very well.
There's a lot of
People
them.
still moving in.
And there's a lot of people that didn't report anything.
Yeah, did you,
Doesn't the Federal County, don't we get the records from there from our taxes?
A ton of
Or
houses.
population, you mean?
I'm sorry,
For population, you mean?
right,
Oh, I,
That goes to your sense,
or it only goes through the.
the population.
did you guys put a stop to some of this building that went on? According to the China, there was another house going
if
There's
we
houses going in everywhere.
in. I know. So there goes more of our water, every house is built, but
I don't see that as a problem.
more people in
Right
my
here.
house.
I thought my first day I was here, I swear to God.
Exactly.
If I saw them, more people paying the bill. But the lines are already there. You know,
I didn't
there's,
know
the
the
water's out there to fill the rest.
And I don't have a lawn, there's one, I have trees, so I'm not.
You need more
wasting
people
water
paying the
on
bill.
lawn.
Need more people paying the bill.
I got scrub option.
I have a couple of those. Maybe takes care of it.
You don't water those, believe me.
But we can't put on a moratorium. There would be, we have to be realistic about growth, that look around the country. The cities that don't have growth fail. They disappear, they go away. The cities that manage the growth do well. We need to be in the position of managing growth and welcoming growth.
You need to
Because
be able to-
honestly, it's gonna happen whether we like it or not.
You need to be able to open a business here and know that it's gonna thrive.
The revenue from the tap fees is a lot of what we need to get for our water systems too.
Yeah.
We need that to come in.
But we do need to manage it. And that's, you probably heard about we had a moratorium for the month of December. Right, you probably heard about that. Well, and of course, that expired the first of January. The reason for that was because I think that the board wanted to kind of broach the subject of managing the growth into the future. And I think now that that subject has been broached, the board is aware of that. We look at it, we're going to readdress it every 6 months as to manage the growth and how many taps we're gonna allow, those kinds of issues, as to whether we should put a limit on them or not. So we are definitely aware of managing the growth, but we can't close the gate.
Well, I just don't want to become another federal web,
Oh, boy.
where they're now limited with their water,
Yeah, we certainly don't either.
and that's how I feel it's becoming.
Well, I think we have a long ways to
I
go.
think we're far from that.
I can still go to a house in Pueblo West and ask my neighbor through their window for the door.
Yeah, no.
Hope that never happens.
Bob?
So when you manage that growth, are you gonna manage our AOSP?
What?
When you manage that growth by lowering the number of taps, are you going to manage our AOS fees that are promised for?
Probably not.
What's
I think it'll still be available. I don't know. I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
AOSP is
Yeah,
what we
exactly.
charge, LSP is what we charge. If you have a water or a sewer line in your street that is
Oh, okay,
within 500 feet of your lot,
$100.
$100 a year, they'll build you, so that means
And are you getting that from everyone?
that
Because,
has,
you know, I have people in there, that I don't say that. Cause I inherited a lot that has that, and I was shocked that I pay for water that I don't even get. There's nothing there.
That happened to me last year too.
Yeah,
Up to
Well, I've
400
been
feet.
paying for a couple of years, and I just got.
So if you're.
So is everyone paying
So is
for
it an
that?
extra $100 on your bill?
everybody send it out, and send it out,
Separate bill.
yeah, that's what they'll.
If you have a tap, then you don't pay that, of course. So if you're using one, you don't pay that. But if you-
Well, yeah, I know, I'm not using water, that's why I feel offended that I'm paying $100.
But you-
Drop one.
but-
Everybody that has it available pays it. If you're aware of somebody that's not, if water is in front of their house or something, we'd like to know.
No, they're not watering, but there's a line that, yes, it's in front of the lot.
Do they combine the lots into one? Or do they have a house
But if
that,
there's a
they
tap there,
combine-
wouldn't that still,
do they have a house and they combine 2 or 3 lots?
I see what you're saying.
Okay, if they bought a tap and it goes to that house and they vacated the water, the lot lines on it, then that's one total lot. So they don't have to pay AOS.
That's right.
Because they already have a tap for that lot.
That's awesome.
Well, it's not, I don't know, it's a matter of getting around it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because one lot.
If that's an empty lot, then you
It's
should.
managing the growth in the sense that, okay, I bought my house and my lot, and I ended up buying the lots in front of me and behind me, and I'm
Well, I see
vacating
that,
those
yeah,
lot
I
lines,
understand all
so it's taking 2 lots out, so that 2 houses aren't gonna come in,
that. Right,
because it's now my property. And that's kind of what I tell people too, is I say, if you have a lot and you know the lot next door to you, pick it up. Because you like having the space around you, yeah,
Okay, but when you do that, is it best to vacate the line or no?
it depends. If you have water and sewer, and you have to pay an ALS fee, is it worth paying $100 on that? Or is it best to vacate the line? The only thing is once you vacate that line, it takes an act of Congress to put that line back there.
Oh,
the other one is.
Where it costs you, I don't know, I think it's anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to vacate that line through a surveyor. But to add the line in there, you have to have,
Oh, it's in active Congress, I looked into it.
there's different ways you can look at it.
Well, I just was wondering if you're getting calls from everyone that has a lot that has that.
Everything that has a water line or a sewer line next to it. Water line, if you have a water line with 400 foot of it, you pay, think back, it is $64, I think, and then if you have a sewer line, it's 50 cents. Or it's close like that. I'd have to look exactly at the number, I can tell you that. That's how they, that's
Like
how
I
they.
said,
all-
I am heard,
Because it's $110 if you have water and sewer.
You also have to base your tax can increase, the property tax, more than that.
And then if you
I
vacate the
increased
lot.
$600, so. And the thing is if you sell
You
that,
know, the empty lot, the property tax is double this
and
on
if
an
you
empty
do,
lot, Colorado City.
and if you do have a lot,
I know, cause I've paid them.
if you do have a lot that has AOSPs on it, it is almost 3 times the value of a lot without it. Because you have people that want to build on it. And
So that means it's close to water.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
Gotcha.
so a lot with water and sewer, it's usually going anywhere from
$6,000.
it's usually going for about $7,000 to $10,000 for that lot, water and sewer.
We're paying taxes versus.
What I hear you have for water and sewer on it, that's maybe 2,000.
All right.
So no, but I don't keep up on.
The county doesn't really care about your water system.
They don't care about Colorado State, period.
Well, no, that's a pretty fair statement.
Yeah, I know, they're looking into it, I've had the assessors ask me for AOS, yes,
Have they?
yes, they are.
We like to complain to you for years that where you maintain a metro road, you ought to get something for doing
A
it.
road to, yes.
You ought to do, the county charges the road fee, why can't the metro?
Well, the metro, we can charge it tax. We can't charge it tax and put it on the level. No, and that's what I was thinking, wow. Nothing else. And then it makes it so I was jumping.
Yeah, there's a lot.
When we go through it.
Did you get into the Shell Road or Ford Road? The Junior Ford. Oh, God. No, wait.
We hear you.
They're ugly. Might have to go down there and trip over horse kerosene out there and light match to see where to go.
They're all right by Donna's house.
It burned.
We're going to have these, we plan on continuing to have these two chats every 3 months. What we'd like to do is have, well, what is up now is quarterly.
Okay.
We also would like to have input, if you'd like to have more, or if Quarterly Works, any input as to how we can make them better, how we can accomplish more.
Communicate this meeting even exists.
Yeah.
No one in our area knows even about this.
Well,
Even
I
though
found out by
it's-
somebody.
So what put in our newsletter, we
Yeah.
increased our newsletter to once a month, these are when the community meetings are. This is, and it's posted at the post office, like, and you deal like, the post office and ride. I put it on our board out front, so I put it in the website.
Hayes is one that told me.
It's all on the agenda. You go into agendas, usually on Friday afternoon, if there's a meeting on Tuesday, I have an agenda. I might not have it. But I wouldn't come, we didn't put it in the agenda.
Like that.
It's on the agenda.
I have a question. I think that new microphones, but it's just a comment from me, because I do try to watch the meetings, if I can't watch them at night, but they're hard to hear on.
Well,
They're something-
it's it's trying to, instead of them sitting back from the microphone like this, to talk into the microphone, because you do have a speaker, it does come through, but
They felt like
it's when everybody's sitting back and doing this, and it's hard to pick up.
Before you had all those, I felt like I heard better than I do now.
I know there was one that's going on, but they're not. So, yeah.
That's why we-
That's what we're.
You guys did something.
Yeah, that's over.
Thank you for having me.
All you ladies and gentlemen have one, please.
Hey, you too, Rex.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's past mine. Let's just.
I have the other.
Thank you for telling some things too. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm supposed to keep my mouth shut, but it's hard to do that when you're not getting the correct information.
Yeah. Well, the more we know, hopefully,
But on your golf course, they don't pay for a drop of water, or even if what goes into the drinking cup.
See, I'm not a golfer.
Now, I will better be, the golf course paid $100,000, but I still won't cover the $350,000 loss from the water department.
Me too.
So, by law, you're not supposed to. Well, on top of that, if you lose that money, by law, you're not allowed to give away the product.
Oh.
Yeah, that part hasn't been looked into yet. I was planning on writing an article about that, but that's gonna take, I generally don't post those until I've got the research.
Can they say something?
Back it up.
I don't use a swimming pool, but we
So I'm
don't
looking
look
into the state law.
Give them $1,000.
On that. But
right?
you never know, it could do a lot of continue. I've got so many things that I'm working on all the time. That when I get closer on one that weeks, it takes a crowd. Stop thinking.